Hello, everybody. Welcome to OpenCV Live, and I'm your host, Satya Malik. I'm the CEO of OpenCV.org, and today I'm going to give you a talk that I actually gave at a different summit, at Data Summit. This was held in India back last year. And unfortunately, I'm a little bit under the weather, and that is why I could not prepare for the actual talk I wanted to give. But this is I'm sure you guys will enjoy. This is AI art generation. And with me, as always, is Phil Nelson. He's the Director of Content and Creative at OpenCV. He organizes the show, and if anything goes wrong, it's his fault. Hi, Phil.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Hi, Doc. How are you doing out there in Bangalore, I think you said?
Yeah, doing
Yeah,
good, doing
awesome.
good.
So yes, I am your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who is second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson, if you're nasty, with apologies to Janet. But you, my dear friends, can call me Phil. And I'm here to remind you of a few things that we do on every single episode of this show. The first of which is a special giveaway to you in the audience. Stay tuned. Later on in the episode, I will be asking a trivia question based on the presentation here today. And the first person to answer that trivia question correctly in the Zoom chat will win the OpenCV course of their choosing. Now you can see what courses are on offer from OpenCV University by going to opencv.org/university. Again, about 45 minutes from now, we'll be doing that giveaway. If you're not in the Zoom chat, you can get there by going to opencv.live. That's opencv.live, and that will bump you straight into the Zoom chat, where it looks like right now we are 82 viewers strong in the Zoom chat. Over on YouTube, we're sitting at 10. Twitch, our standard 1. Our very dedicated Twitch viewer out there.
Is that you?
And it's not. And over on LinkedIn, we're sitting on 35. So hello, everybody out there watching us around the world. We do love to see it. We're also taking questions from you in the audience. Please send your question either using the Zoom Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you're on Zoom, or if you're watching anywhere else. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on Instagram, as well as Zoom here. Just post your question in the chat. I'll be watching those, and I will do my best to bring your questions up as they make sense in the conversation. We'll also try to save a little bit of time at the end of the show for those questions that we do not get to. Now, if you ask a question and we don't get to it in the show, please feel free to send it to us another way via email. Send it to newsletter@opencv.org, and we'll do our best to answer it there as well. Before we get started here, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of reminding people the reason for the season, as it were. OpenCV is a nonprofit organization that runs an open source library with a very permissive. Hang on, let me fix the screen share there. There we go. That should be better. OpenCV is an open source library run by a nonprofit organization, and open sources. The open source licensing of OpenCV 5 is very permissive. That means you can use it for whatever the heck you want, and you don't have to give us a dime. All you have to do is tell people that you used OpenCV. Satya, do you want to tell the folks out there a little bit about why it's important to support OpenCV and open source CV and AI?
Well, because this is a community-driven platform, and OpenCV does get a lot of donations from large companies, but also from the community, right? And that is why it's a very small organization that runs such an important infrastructure in this world. People when the very first autonomous car was that ran through 132
The
miles of
DARPA
Mojave
Grand
Desert.
Challenge.
It actually had OpenCV library running on it. When we send these helicopters to Mars, right? Those have OpenCV code in it. So it's a very important library, but it's supported by just a few people. And the team size is also small, but we want to expand it. So it's very important that we get support from the community. It also helps us in raising extra funds when we say that, okay, our community is also supporting us, and that really helps. The other thing is that if you are working for a large company like Google and Facebook, etc., they usually do a matching donation. So that helps us also when you donate. It basically doubles the amount of donation. So I hope that you're able to support us. It's
And
really
we've got some folks
important
on.
for a lively community.
One of the ways that you can support OpenCV is by sponsoring us on GitHub. You can go to github.com/sponsors/OpenCV. Got 8 sponsors right now. We added one since I think last week. Shout out to our sponsors, DJ Greenwood, Rudis Laboratories, Ross Newman, Amigu, Blue Jay, Jesus Anya, R. Kellen, and Victor V. Thank you so much, folks, for your support. Also, good news out there, everybody. If you've been eyeing one of those OpenCV t-shirts, sweaters, pet bandanas, buttons, stickers, whatever, these are 20% off for the next 5 days. That is a pretty big savings because our shirts are not cheap. The OpenCV logo shirt, usually $39.99, is now just $31 with the 20% off. So go check that out and help yourself to some big savings on OpenCV merch. Buy those pet bandanas, put them on your pets, send us photographic evidence of this, and I will display your lovely pets on this very program. We've got the OpenCV I Love OpenCV shirt in English, simplified Chinese, and en Espanol for everyone out there. Go check those out as you can. We're also live on Mastodon. Go check out our Mastodon server. I am personally a big proponent of the sort of decentralized federated social media stuff. I have found that Mastodon has gotten really vibrant and much more usable in terms of there being actually people there to talk about stuff with over the last year or so as Elon continues to tank Twitter. So go check us out there. It's growing pretty quickly, and we always love to see your projects posted on there. We will retweet those and all that good stuff. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com @OpenCV official. We just passed 51K subscribers. It's pretty amazing to see. Thank you all so much. We're also on Twitch, OpenCV_. I think I'm going to change this to OpenCV official to bring those things a little bit more in line. And of course, we are on LinkedIn as OpenCV. Go check us out there. 294,000 followers there on OpenCV's LinkedIn channel. Hokey smokes Bullwinkle. That is a lot of people. With that said, I think it's time for back to you, Doc.
All right. So you need to enable screen share.
Wow. Yeah, we were a little bit rusty this week, huh?
Rough today.
Screen share is enabled.
All right. So let me know if you get a screen.
Yep, I see the whole thing with like the slides and everything. Let's slideshow mode.
So now do you see just the slide?
Yes,
full screen
indeed.
mode?
Looks great.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, to be upfront, this was a talk that I gave at Analytics Vidya Data Hack Summit last year. So the material is a little bit outdated, but it still is very interesting for people who do not who have no background in AI art generation, right? So now generative AI has taken over, and so I wanted to make as many slides as possible using generative AI. So all of the slide is produced using generative AI. Quick introduction about myself. You can actually ask ChatGPT, at least that version which was there. When I asked who is Satya Malik, it gave a pretty reasonable answer. And this was, a year back. Even a year back, things looked pretty solid. Now, a lot of coding, etc., is also done using generative AI. And on the right-hand side is a picture of me, which was also generated using generative AI. We took a few pictures of me, and using those pictures, we fine-tuned a model and created this picture of me on the right-hand side. Okay, so I wear different hats, and I'm the CEO of Big Vision LLC. This is a computer vision and AI consulting company, and we do all kinds of different projects in computer vision and AI. And now we are also working extensively in large language models. As some of you know, that I'm also the CEO of OpenCV.org. And finally, I'm a blogger at learnopencv.com. And this is how I got started, the blog learnopencv.com.
Wow, the middle hat,
I'm not very
came with
active.
hair.
Yeah, go ahead. Your voice is cutting off. I don't know whether it's you or it's me.
I'm not sure. Probably you, but I don't know.
All
Folks,
right.
are you hearing me fine out there?
It's possible. Your voice is choppy today. All right. Yeah, people can let me know. Okay. So, all right. So, uh, like I mentioned that we have these, I do these three things, right? AI consulting, which is bigvision.ai. You can see all the different projects we have done, some of the different projects we have done if you go to bigvision.ai. And then we have OpenCV University, which is our, uh, it's a place where people can start from the very basics and learn, become a master in computer vision and AI. We have a collection of courses there. And for interesting AI and computer vision blog posts, you can go to learnopencv.com and learn about various things. So even though it started as learnopencv.com, right now most of the things that we publish, there are OpenCV, some PyTorch, TensorFlow, anything under the sun, as long as it is computer vision related, and some large language model as well. So I wanted to acknowledge my sister, Masha Malik, who actually helped me create these slides, because last time I forgot. So I made it a point to acknowledge her first, and then then there's no chance of forgetting. All right. So back in the day, right, when we say what does it mean to be an artist, right? There are two things that we needed to become an artist before, let's say, 2022. The first thing was imagination, right? You need to be able to imagine something that whatever you want to create. Let's say you wanted to create a piece of art, you need to have the right imagination to be able to create that art to begin with, right? The second thing is that you needed skills, right? And you know the skills, because your imagination was not sufficient, you had to go and draw it if you wanted to create a portrait, right? Now, actually, I created both these images using the word imagination on Stable Diffusion and skills on Stable Diffusion. Those were the only prompts given, right? And you can see, right, these pictures are pretty reasonable. Now, the problem is that after 2022, you don't need the skills anymore, right? And this is, this actually encourages a lot of people without skills like myself to become artists, right? Whether this is right or wrong is a different question. But the truth is that you just need imagination, right? If you have the right kind of imagination, you can easily create a piece of art today by just prompting, right? You can write a text prompt and create this piece of art. Now, as I mentioned, that both of the above images that were created using generative AI, and the only prompt, the prompt that I used for the second one was artistic skills, right? So two words, just two words, and it created this image for me. And for the first one, I did not even need two words, right? I just used the word imagination, and it gave the first image. So you can imagine, right, that you don't really need imagination, right? I just used the word imagination and it created this uh, photo for me. Does it mean that I have imagination? No, I actually needed only half of the imagination. The AI is able to fill it up, right, for you. So this creates a very new form of creating art, right? You don't need the skills, and you need only half the imagination. So, but what you need is taste, right? Once you have this output, you need to be able to tell whether it is a good piece of art or a bad piece of art, right? Because that's what it is, right? You can keep prompting, and based on the output, you still need taste. So you can think about yourself as Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs did not know how to code. Steve Jobs did not know how to build a product, but he had the right imagination to begin with, right? So he would say that, okay, I want this product, and he could tell what he wanted in very good detail. And then he had exceptional taste, right? So he could actually produce. He would not be satisfied with what people produced, right? Uh, so the artist of today needs to have good imagination, right? Or maybe half the imagination and good taste, right? Important distinction how things have changed. Now, this slide is slightly outdated, but look at the progress even back then, how things were progressing. In April 2022, we had OpenAI release DALL-E 2. In May, Google released ImageGen. In July, we had Midjourney. And in August, we had Stability AI. This is the open source version of Stable Diffusion. It is an open source model that were released. So in a very short period of time, we saw all these different models being produced, and people were building so fast on it, right? And that is the scale we are at. In fact, I have a very interesting story about the founder of Midjourney. I had a conversation with him 6 months before, maybe January of that year. I had a conversation with him about where Midjourney is, what they were doing, and I could not completely understand what they were doing. Right? He said that okay, you can write a prompt and generate an image, and they were going to do it as a Discord bot, and it did not. I said, who's going to go to Discord and run this prompt? Plus, I mean, how many people? What kind of quality are you going to get? And I was proven completely wrong. 6 months later, when this thing came out, I was just shocked at the quality of what Midjourney was producing. Right?
And not only
S-
that, but they were butting up against the limits of what Discord could handle, because they were basically like
yes.
became the
So
biggest Discord ever at that time, I think, if memory serves.
exactly, and I think it quickly they were adding 1 million or so uh, people, no, on the Discord channel
Pretty wild.
in just a few days, and I don't know what the number ended up being, but it was a pretty substantial number. Now they have a separate website also, right? But
Over
the scale
20
at which
million
generative AI moved in art.
over 20
Oh
million
wow,
members on the
over
journey.
20
Yeah,
million now.
nuts.
Wow.
Totally nuts.
That's nuts, right? And this is actually very useful stuff that they have created. You can actually use some of these things for it's not a play thing, right? It is an actual legitimate uh, art generation tool, right? I use it for my slides all the time, so it is a very legitimate thing. Now things have moved quite substantially after this. We have video models like Sora, we have which are coming through, and the space is so explosive right now that you can actually create very interesting artwork using generative AI, right? So uh, the there are three superpowers of what we call Stable Diffusion. It is an open source model, and the the very first one is that it is open source, so you can actually build on top of it, right? So one of the challenges with Midjourney and other sources is that they are closed source. You cannot actually fine tune them. You cannot actually build them. And the other thing is that it is small. You can run it on a local GPU. And finally, it is fast. You can actually generate an image in just a few seconds with Stable Diffusion. So these are, just to give you a sense of the growth of Stable Diffusion. Look at this chart, right? We have Bitcoin, right, in orange. We have Ethereum. We have all these Kafka, Spark, etc. Stable Diffusion, most people do not realize it is actually almost vertical, right? Look at this vertical graph. uh, you don't It's not in this area. It is actually this vertical graph that was taking off. These are the number of GitHub, uh, I think GitHub stars that Stable Diffusion was getting at that time, right? So the growth is was explosive. Now there were other models repositories that came up. One of them is called civet.ai, and it has a collection of models that have been fine-tuned, Stable Diffusion models that have been fine-tuned for different tasks, right? Just a word of caution that if you go to this, it is not always safe for work, so be careful.
It is a very, very horny website. Let's just say that.
Thanks for the for the vivid description.
Yeah. I could
Right.
go harder, but no.
All right. So Civit.ai, this is a model repository, and there are so many people who have contributed to this, and they have trained models. And this is only possible when you have open source solutions, right? So now this is what a stable diffusion, and there are other people who took the stable diffusion model and they created a web interface around it. So you can go to GitHub and search for stable diffusion web UI, and you will get a web interface like this, very easy to install. And you can get something like this. And here you can see that there are, it's not the greatest interface, but at least to get started, from text, you can generate image by having these two prompts. One is the positive prompt and one is the negative prompt. This is the very basic idea. And here I just said green sapling, rowing out of ground, and a few different words that describe what it's doing. And it gives me a few different options to choose from, right? So very easy to use interface. And this is the power of open source, right? Just because Stable Diffusion was open source, we get to play with it in this way that somebody built on top of Stable Diffusion. And of course, the quality of Midjourney, etc., is very good. But the power of open source is that everybody can contribute. And one of the things that I really was shocked at is people were producing these models where the techniques they were using for producing these models, they were kind of crude, right? They were not very sophisticated, but that's the power of open source, right? The things that we may not understand why something is working, but once somebody proves that, okay, this idea works, right? Like averaging of weights, they were doing all kinds of interesting things to create new models, which we understood only later on why these things work, right? People were trying out very random things, and we found out very later on that why these things work at all. So a lot of creativity came out in the developer community because these models were open source.
Also, I'm just
Now,
going to say it
yeah,
that little sprout looks
yeah,
like a
go ahead.
pot leaf. It totally looked
I don't know what's
like weed.
I don't know what's happening. Your voice is cutting off for me.
I don't know, man. Maybe some kind of
Is it
noise echo
can
cancellation or
everybody
something.
hear Phil, or is it me?
Seems like everybody else is saying we both sound fine, so I'm not sure.
All right.
It's
Okay.
the struggles of being mobile and having not being
Right.
in your normal studio.
Right. So, when we the first, there are many different aspects. There are many different aspects of generative AI. The very first one is text to image, right? You write a text prompt, and out comes an image. And just to give you an idea how easy it is to write a prompt, right? Uh, Here I say anime portrait photo of a muscular bearded guy in a worn mech suit, right? And then I say light bouquet. Now you can see that there are these brackets around a light bouquet. It basically emphasizes whatever we want to do, right? And whatever light bouquet is emphasized, the more emphasis you put, you will see more of it. And then there is syntax, like the word rust is very crucial, because otherwise you'll get a very different image. Uh, Part of the reason that it creates such good image with with literally less than 20 words is because of this word, Greg Rutkowski. He is an artist who creates these kinds of images. And this is something we have to grapple with, because we are literally, this image was possible, this quality image was possible just because we are standing on the shoulders of Greg Rutkowski without his permission, right?
To put
We
it
are
another
standing on
way,
his, we are
we're
stealing.
absolutely copying his style. Yes, and
Yeah,
in
so
no
we are,
uncertain terms.
right. And there's a lot of debate about this thing. I'm not 100% sure uh, how to think about it, because if you think about an artist, if you're looking at images of an artist, photos of an artist, and you are inspired by them, you try to replicate that artist style, you're inspired by them, is that a bad thing, right? Is that, are you, yeah, people get inspired by other people all the time. So technically speaking, it's okay, right? Why can't an AI be inspired by somebody else's work? The problem is, right, the problem with this logic is that uh, things ideas don't scale, right, always. For example, right, if you jump from uh, 3 feet, right, your muscles, you'll probably gain muscles, right, if you keep jumping. If you jump from 30, 40 feet, you'll probably break some bones, right?
You will
So
lose some,
things
yeah.
that work at a certain scale do not necessarily work at a larger scale, right? So AI that consumes at scale is not the same as human who's consuming at a small scale.
And
So
especially once the AI starts consuming AI, which we're already seeing, like the
right,
slop is being
right.
fed the slop. And so what happens
So,
is,
you know,
you end up in a weird space. I still think very soon there's going to be this idea of like, uh, how you can only make Geiger counters out of steel that was created before the atomic bomb was first dropped. Um, I think there's going to be this concept of like vintage non-AI touched content, like photos and text from pre 2020, basically.
right, right. So it's a very gray area, right? What's going to happen? Now, I also put some negative prompt here, right? Because it is possible that we are copying a style, so it is important to I'm not recommending it, but I'm just saying that this is what you have to do because otherwise you'll not get a good image. So you have to give things in the negative prompt, like you have to say that it should not have blurry image, you should not have the logo, watermark, signature, etc. So and the other problem, at least at that time, about a year back, these models had, was that it used to get very deformed models of images of people. Sometimes they would have 6 fingers, sometimes then something would not be right,
Too
right?
many
So
teeth.
too many, yeah, well, teeth, it's difficult to count, right? um,
But
because
you
part of the
know when
reason,
there's too many. Like if you see a picture
yeah.
of a person, you're like, okay, that's too many teeth. Like your mind is just like, no, this is wrong.
Yeah, so you have to generate a bunch of them and select one, right? So it doesn't get things right all the time, but it is still fascinating that with just a few pieces, a positive prompt and a negative prompt, this kind of image can be generated. It is still extremely fascinating, right? So this kind of thing where you are trying to come up with the right prompt, it is called prompt engineering, right? It is the art of creating text prompts that AI can understand to create the image of your imagination. And of course, as I said, that you do not have to imagine everything. You just need to have partial imagination and it will just do fine, right? You do need to have taste. Now, if you remove this one line, Rust, then you can see that the suit changed, but the person also changed quite substantially. One of the problems with this prompt, this text to image, is that you cannot control the output as much, right? Because you're not describing the whole thing. You cannot control the output as much as you want, right? So ideally, you would have thought that, okay, if I just change one word, it would be this image, but with a steel metal, right? But that's not the case, right? It actually changes the image completely, right? Not completely, but quite substantially, right? The style of the suit is changed. The situation, the person's face also changes. So it's not very easy to control the output of these generative models, right? So the the task for the person who is generating this art, it becomes you have to choose, right? And the way to choose is, in these generative models, there is this argument called seed. If you change the seed, it is basically the seed of the random number generator, and once you change the seed, you will get different versions of the same image, right? So you can change the seed and generate many of them and select the one that you like. You may want to have more curly mustache, or you may want to have a serious look, etc. So you can choose. If you're producing just one image, then you can change the seed and create many versions of it, right? So as I said, that you do need to have good taste to create these images. Text to image, there are also other options where you can combine two different concepts. For example, here I'm saying that a frog and a turtle, right? And make it 50-50 on a leaf in a forest, right? That's the prompt that I gave. And so basically the way the underlying model works, right? It actually renders the photo after it takes a few iterations to render the photo. So it first renders the photo using frog, right? The prompt is a frog on a leaf in a forest. And then it switches and turns to a turtle. And then, some aspects of the turtle get rendered, right? So you can see the back of this frog is like a turtle, and it is half turtle, half frog.
Yes, you've created quite the sin against
And then
God
you
there.
can do something like, go
Thanks, I
ahead.
hate it. It's terrifying.
You can also use the and prompt, a frog and a man and a turtle. So it is a combination of the three, right?
I've never seen this photo of Elon Musk before.
Yes. Now, as I said that, generative AI is not just about, it is not just about generating an image from text, right? There are many different aspects of generative AI for art. For example, you can do upsampling. Here, you have an image which is, of lower 256 by 256, and you can upsample it to 1024 by 1024 or 512 by 512, whatever it is. Now, there is a lot of hallucination that happens. The upsampling may not always be exact, right? So there are parameters you can control to say how faithful you have to be to the original image. But you can see that the original image, it is not 100% faithful to the original image, right? Some things have been added, but it is approximately right kind of upsampling, right? So it's not just filling in the pixels that are missing, but it is regenerating the image from scratch. Now you also have image to image, right? Where you start with an image and then give a text prompt, right? So in generative, in the first example, we saw that you could give a text and it will give an image output, but you could start with an image and give a text, and it is going to create this output, right? Two men in Istanbul. It is a slightly different version of the image, and you can see,
Yeah,
pretty interesting application you can build.
Turkish Gary Bradsky
Yeah,
over there. Interesting.
that is right. That is right. We just need to give him a gun.
Also you turned your hat into hair, it kind of looks like, right? Like it looks
Right,
like more like
right.
hair to me.
All
Very
right.
fun.
So now you can also use something called in painting, right? So we did text to image, then we did image to image with a text prompt. But you can also do something called in painting, where you select a region of the photo and then you type in a prompt saying what do you want to fill it with, right? And here we are basically saying something like a pearl necklace, right? We are adding a pearl necklace to it. Now, as somebody who built a virtual makeover website back in 2006, 2007, this thing is fascinating, right? These things were not possible. They were so difficult when we started, but now this is like literally, you're not even writing code, you're writing a prompt to accomplish this kind of thing, right? And we basically spent months to get something which looked consistent. So things have progressed. I still feel that we are in science fiction land. Okay. And here's another application. So you can do in painting, but you can also do something called out painting, where the idea is that you expand the image and it fills it consistently with the with the rest of the image. And here also there is a text input, there is a prompt, right? When you're actually looking at the sky region, in that case, I said a clear sky, something like that, right? And it is able to generate that piece of the image, right? And Phil, if you are saying something and it feels like I'm talking over it, it is because I cannot hear you. But it
Yeah,
is
it's all good.
all right.
We'll be fine.
All right. Okay. Then we have something called textual inversion, right? Here, the idea is we take a small number of images to create a new concept, right? The concept could be a new person or new character, but there could be other concepts also, right? The concept could be sunrise or sunset. The idea is that you have, and here, the text is Satya Malik, that is the text. And we say that all these images, right, they conceptually are Satya Malik, right? But you could also say that, okay, I want to have this concept called sunrise, and you have many images of sunrise, and it will understand the concept, right? So this textual inversion, you can take all these photos and then you create new models, right? I can then I have a label in my model, which I can say that, okay, Satya Malik is in an urban environment at night, good lighting, et cetera, et cetera. Now you may be thinking that, oh, why do I look so fit, right? Because I actually in the prompt I said fit Satya Malik. Yes, you know, uh, fit. Yeah. So that's what I actually did, and it produces a nicer version of mine.
You could have just impainted your gut, like it would have been fine.
That's true. That's true. See, there are various options of accomplishing the same thing, right?
It's true. It's true.
And so these are other examples. You can go completely non-realistic but interesting photos, right? And this I actually created using an app called Lensa. So the word is it like I don't know the Lensa team, but what I have heard is that these guys, it's a small team from Russia, 4 or 5 people, and they created this app. And they were at one point they were making a few $1 million a day or something like that, some ridiculous number, just because this thing was so cool. A lot of people wanted to do this. I actually spent $16 myself creating these pictures of myself and my son. The older son did not want to do it, but the younger son was very interested. So there you go. With these new technologies, you can actually make a bunch of money too. So there are several limitations of this platform, of these generative models. Can anybody guess what's wrong with this image? Give me in the chat section. Let me know what's wrong in the chat. Wrong with this image.
Yeah, one of these things is not like the other.
So lighting is actually very difficult to guess whether the lighting is incorrect, because you can have many different kinds of lighting and all of them could be right, right? So lighting is actually, I don't think you can actually create a lighting which is like that. Lighting is usually very tough. And all right. Well, you can always have a sun behind and you can have lights in the front, right? So you can,
You must simply
yeah.
overpower the sun.
So you can get an idea. So one of the things that really stands out for me is, I'll give you the answer. The earrings don't look consistent to me, right? And there could be other little things. The symmetry, if you are very carefully, if you look at the necklace will not be 100% symmetric, right? So there are all these little glitches
The
that
teeth are a
happen.
little bit off as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not perfect yet, but things are getting very, very close. This one is an easy one. And I think the prompt was,
It's pretty good.
yeah, this is an easy one. Monstrous apple. Yeah, that is one thing. What else? Six
Also,
fingers. Okay.
yeah,
Six
Steve,
fingers is, uh, um, Because part of the reason, people think that why doesn't it know that there are 5 fingers? So the thing is that it doesn't have the notion of counts. Really, it
Yeah,
doesn't count
it
very
doesn't
well. All
know
AI,
anything. Like it doesn't actually know
it doesn't know
anything.
anything, right? It's just creating uh, an image based on an optimization function. And if that optimization function says that, okay, 5 fingers are good, 6 are even better, right? Why don't you
Hey, why
create six
not?
fingers, right? So that's the reason some of these models are not. They have these very funny uh, side effects. But a lot of these things have been fixed, like with Midjourney. Now, the latest version of Midjourney, I don't think it makes these kinds of errors anymore. Now, one of the questions people ask is AI generated art really art, right? Is this really art? Are you an artist if you are able to generate AI art, right? Now, here's the question, right? Uh, if you have taken photography, right? If you are passionate about photography and you take a very good photo, one of the ways people congratulate you is that, oh, that's a beautiful photo. You must have a very good camera, right? Um, has this happened to you? Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think people make that assumption, right? And then they see the camera and it's just this beat to hell, like ancient camera body that, the photographer has dragged up and down mountains and,
Right.
on airplanes and everything. It's like, no,
Right.
it's the actual talent is behind the camera.
Right. So, well, the question is that is photography art? You're just taking something which is already there. A good scene is there, right? So you can say that a photo is a snapshot of the real world captured with the user's personal settings, right? So the user has some taste, and you have captured a snapshot of the real world with your personal settings, right? You can also say that the AI art is a snapshot of the latent space. So uh, there is the space called latent space, hidden space, that is created when you write a prompt, right? And you can see that you and AI art is basically in this latent space. You are using your personal settings using a prompt, and you're getting a picture out, right? So you can say that AI art is a snapshot of the latent space captured with users' personal settings, right? Because everyone will use a slightly different setting. Uh, so you can make a case that yes, AI art is really art. And I've seen people who do it really well. It's very difficult to it's very difficult to replicate what they have done, right? It looks really beautiful because they have spent so much time and energy into figuring out what are the quirks of these models and how to actually create a beautiful image. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would say that with this definition, it is art, but we also have to acknowledge that we are standing on the shoulders of giants without their permission, right?
Back in the
So
1950s, there was a famous monkey named Betsy that was a painter and lived at the Baltimore Zoo. um, some of Betsy's art is
really,
has been featured in some of the world's great galleries. I know the Pope of Trash, John Waters, is a big fan and has some of Betsy's art. But yes, look it up.
wow,
Betsy the yeah 1951 to 1960. Look up Betsy the monkey artist. Some pretty good stuff.
okay, that's interesting. This was if you're interested in this kind of stuff, right? We have a course called Generative AI for Everyone. We have a collection of 2 courses. These are really short courses. Usually our courses are pretty long, 3-4 months, but these courses are over a couple of weekends. You can complete the 2 courses if you're interested in the things that we just discussed here, right? And this you can go to opencv.org/university to register for these courses or a ton of other courses related to computer vision and AI. And you know, uh, one more thing. One more thing. I don't have a sister. Marsha is
Wow.
a sham, right? So the reason I put in that image was you have to be alert and use generative AI responsibly, because this photo is not real. I just made it up. I cannot remember the exact prompt, but something like an Indian woman with in a vacation or something like that, right? So, but you can see that that image is so compelling, right? You could be easily fooled that that was a real photo.
Yeah, I'm taking back Masha's birthday present, by the way.
Right. Yeah. So that pretty much concludes the talk today. Any questions? We are ready to take the questions. We have enough time for a lot of questions today.
Yeah, a lot of questions. The first one I think we can cover. Go ahead and unshare the screen there, and we'll do some Q&A before. Actually, let's go ahead and do our giveaway real quick here.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you're just joining us for the first time, or you've been here quite a while and you need a little reminder, one of the things we do on every episode of OpenCV Live is a giveaway to you in the audience. The person that answers the trivia question I am about to ask correctly in the Zoom chat will win the OpenCV University course of their choosing. You can go to opencv.org/university to see what courses we have there. If you have won in the last couple of months, please do not answer and give other people a chance to win. So we've talked a lot about Stable Diffusion here. This is going to be a pretty easy one. In what year was Stable Diffusion released? In what year? All right, we got that one just like bam, right out of the box. Shout out to someone
That's
whose name I'm
amazing.
not even gonna try to pronounce here. Like, you've got me twice here. Not only did you answer the question super quickly, but Yaganadam?
Yoganandam Velamuri.
Yeah, thank you.
Yoganandam
Congratulations.
Velamuri.
Yes, congratulations. Please send one
Congratulations.
email to phil@opencv.org, and we will make sure that you get the course you want. Go to opencv.org/university to take a look at those courses that are available. Pick your course, send me one email. That's phil@opencv.org, and we will make sure that you get your course. Congratulations. So question time. Quite a few folks actually asked what version of Stable Diffusion were all these examples created with?
This was I can't remember. Sorry, I cannot remember. But this was a version that would have been active at the time, about 9 months before.
Okay. And following on with that one, it's
this is definitely not the Excel version. This is most likely Stable Diffusion 2.0.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's probably 2.0. And based on, so you said, this talk is like about a year old, maybe something like that. What have you personally seen that are the biggest differences in the software that's out there now, like these diffusion type models, versus what is available like right now today, like versus the kind of the state of the art in 2024 August?
Right. Well, the main things are videos and animations, right? They have taken up in a very big way. So videos were not very consistent. You could create video sequences, 10-second sequences, but they would not be very consistent. Things will pop in and out. And that is going away. Now you can create very good videos, right? And that's, I think, the biggest one. And also all these little things like 6 fingers, etc. They are no longer in the commercial versions, right? Unfortunately, there has been a little bit of, stability AI. It went through some internal churn. The
There was some
CEO has
drama,
stepped
right? The
down.
CEO got forced out basically, or stepped
Yeah,
down.
yeah. And so there is a new team in place. So there is a little bit of drama going on there. I don't know the internal details, but rumor has it, I don't know whether I take this with a grain of salt. It is possible that an investor group has taken over the company, and so it's a different company now.
Allegedly, we'll
Yeah.
cover we'll cover ourselves legally there. Allegedly, I heard that somebody told me that. We can't say that if it's true or not. We've got another question here. This one's actually about OpenCV University courses from here in the Zoom chat. A viewer would like to know if they were looking to build an Android app that utilized eye tracking, What would be the best OpenCV University course for them to buy to get sent on that path?
Right. So Android, OpenCV has, a package for Android that you can download. What we teach are basically how to build, how to you will get an understanding of what computer vision and deep learning is, right? So for everybody who's interested in as a general, if you want to get into a career in AI, I recommend two courses. One is Fundamentals of Computer Vision and Image Processing. That will take you about 3 to 4 months, and it is, bulk of it is traditional computer vision techniques. And the second one is, you can choose among two deep learning courses. One of them is called Deep Learning with PyTorch, and then the other one is called Deep Learning with TensorFlow and Keras. Either one is good. The material is pretty much, we have different examples, but the fundamentals are the same in both the courses. If you are more familiar with Python, you would like deep learning with PyTorch more than deep learning with TensorFlow, but both of them are very good courses. So once you complete these two courses, you can call yourself an AI expert. They pretty much cover the foundation of both traditional computer vision and deep learning. And the task of porting it to Android, etc., those you can easily find resources. Even you can pick up a project during this course, and will help you out in that course.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that one. We looked at that the Stable Diffusion Web UI project, which I've used before on GitHub there. Maybe I'll get that set up again on my Mac here locally when I after the show here. But what have we seen in terms of tools? So we talked a bit about the software and what some people have mentioned. Runway ML. Defined.ai is
Yeah,
also getting some press and stuff like that. And they're doing some
right.
stuff with audio as well.
So
What about like interfaces for creating stuff using these models? What have you seen in the last year or so with that?
right, uh, for Stable Diffusion, this was a very good option. The Stable Diffusion Web UI, you can search for it and you'll find it. Uh, the GitHub repository may say automatic or something like that, right? So that is the good one. But for commercial ones, yes, Runway ML, it helps you produce. uh, People use the things in combination. They would take a Midjourney photo, right, and then they will make it into a video using Runway ML. Now Midjourney also has very good video creation tools, right? So all of these are good. In fact, even with OpenAI's ChatGPT, you can ask it to create images, but it's not the same quality as Midjourney, right? So yeah, so I mean, that's the rough landscape.
Yeah, and there's
Oh, for
and
for
people.
speech,
Go
the
ahead.
one that I really like is called 11 Labs. Um, and it does create a pretty good. So when I used it for Caucasian voices, it nails it, right? When you try Indian voices like mine, people say that, oh, it sounds exactly like you, but I don't feel that way.
You're like your side, and you're like, does
Right, right.
it?
People say that it sounds exactly like me, but I don't feel the same way.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah. We got time, I think, for one more question here. And so, yeah, we've mostly talked about. So you brought up audio there. We've mostly talked about like visual, images and videos.
yeah,
But there's been a whole lot of this sort of thing happening for audio as well. And I think
yeah,
there's even some. I figured this would happen, that the first places we would start seeing legislation and like court cases happening was going to be audio. Because of, I
right,
was around when Napster was a thing, and the
right.
RIAA is still kind of powerful. So there are some pending court cases happening right now in terms of the what is going to count as copyright infringement these days. What have you seen in terms of other stuff? Have you gotten to play around with any of the audio generation stuff? Like there's Suno and some of these other services out there. Like I did, dip my toes in a bit just to play around, and did have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, I've actually not tried Suno. That is for music generation. In fact, I think these guys also have Meta also has something for music generation. They have these AI demos that you can
Yeah.
create. And I've used 11 Labs just for fun quite a bit. But we have never used it in any content that we have created. But it was fun to use. Suno is great. I've not worked with it, but I've seen outputs of it. But the next one, I mean, the thing that is going to happen very soon is a whole generation, video plus audio with a single image, right? So you could say that, okay, this is a photo of a person or maybe photos of a person, and then you generate an entire video, like a video lecture of a person talking with a single image, and the audio is also created for them, right? So
Yeah, and
that
this
is
this is
a
already
project.
causing some havoc in American politics, which is only going to get much worse as a result of this. But you saw
Yeah.
Elroy posting that thing with Kamala Harris that actually violated X's own policies, but it doesn't count when he does it. So
Right. So that is going to be. I mean, we have done it for character, synthesis, etc. In our consulting company. So I know that the state of the art is it's pretty
upsettingly good.
indistinct. Yeah, indistinguishable from reality. You can really get fooled that this person actually said this thing, right?
Yeah, with enough compute, it's pretty easy. With enough silicon, we taught how to think. It's pretty easy to
Yeah, but
fool
it's also,
ourselves.
it's in the hands of people, right? It's not like you
Mm.
need a sophisticated, the model is already there, right? With existing models, right? You don't need to train anything new. With existing stuff out there, you can, with about a month's of effort, you can create a whole system, which is a deep fake that, uh, at least for, where there is not much action, like you are talking in this setting, you can fool a person, right, with a months of effort
Oh
and
yeah,
using open
definitely.
source tools. Yeah.
Especially a what I would call an unsophisticated viewer, like someone who's not necessarily in the industry. Like the farther
Right.
away they are from the stuff, the
Right.
the easier they are to fool at a certain level, and that includes me. Like I'm not necessarily up on all of the state of the art stuff. Um,
Right.
I'm gonna do
Right.
one more
So
question here from Amit here in the Zoom chat. Would like to know the prompts that Satya used for the presentation today. You had some example of like negative prompt and stuff with the kind of the Iron Man outfit.
yeah.
It probably took a few generations, like a few iterations of the prompting to do that. About how long would you say, or how many prompts modifications did you have to make to get those final ones?
Yeah. So what happens is that, because everybody is standing on everybody else's shoulders, what happens is that you start with a prompt that somebody else has used, and on Civit AI, people also publish the prompt, right? They
Yeah,
just not,
you
they
can
just
copy
don't
and paste
publish
them.
the
Yeah.
photo. Yeah, so you can copy paste and you can get a very good starting point, and then you start from there, and you can modify it. But if you're starting from complete scratch, it can actually take you a long time to get, you know, few tens of minutes to get exactly what's in your mind, right? So the best results, unfortunately, is still when you are copying somebody else's style, right? Some real world artist. If you know some real world artist and you're copying their style, that's the fastest way to get good results.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean there's also like the just because something can like be like generated quickly or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean it's something you should be proud of, right? It's not the same as doing
Yeah.
work.
Right.
We talk about you and I talk about this all the time, and I think it's like one of the things that is why we work so well together is that reward effort, not results.
Right.
Like
Right.
so yeah. Having said that, I think yeah, we're about 5 minutes past the hour. Let's go ahead and call it a day. You want to take us home, Doc?
All right. Thank you so much. I really want to thank our audience. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. There is, and again, I apologize that the presentation is a little bit out of date, but for people who are just starting out, I hope that they got some value out of it. And thank you, Phil, for organizing this. And I just want to thank everybody, the audience, and you make us, come here every Thursday or almost every Thursday and have this excellent webinar. I really enjoy this, and let's keep rolling.
Yes, thanks so much, everybody. We will see you next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be.